I went over the top of the trees and had a fail safe and put a quad through a $100,000 Mercedes windshield. I said,
That's cool.
I said, if I was to leave, nobody would ever be able to fly a drone on that property again. You have to think about sometimes it's bigger than you. First and foremost, Eric Sackhoff out there at the Northwest FPV Park.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking salutes out to him and his crew, brother. They created FPV Disneyland.
Good, man. I can't complain. I had a good Merry Christmas. How about you?
Man, I got to spend time with the family. I mean, we're all grown. There's one new addition to the family. So that was like kind of the Christmassy thing. But, I mean, I got to hang out with the family. And then I had a couple of my local, there's one or two of my local buddies. It was his first time. Both of his kids are at the stage where they're boyfriend and girlfriend up and they're out of state. So like he was rolling solo. So I was like, after Christmas, after I'm done with Christmas with the family, let's go rip some packs, man. So we kind of went downtown and flew a couple spots that we usually can't fly, like Flagler College, man. We went off, dude.
Oh, good.
Yeah, kind of went like downtown, historic gorilla whoop style, St. Augustine, having fun.
Florida got a lot of places to fly.
Ooh. Dude, we are becoming the Mecca, bro. I mean, I hate to say
it. You are so blessed.
It was Atlanta for a long time, but there was just a lot of people pumping. And the reason Atlanta got so big in the FPV scene was it blew up during COVID, where everything was shut down. You could fly anywhere and no one said nothing because it was COVID. And then when COVID was over, then now all of a sudden, all the really dope spots started getting harder and harder to fly, so.
Yeah. There's some epic videos back then.
Oh yeah. And then, I mean, with Florida, man, we're just getting there's so many big groups here, man. Like, I mean, like just the TDA boys, when we get together every Sunday fun day, man, there's 10 or 15 of us every weekend, and that's just here in St. Augustine. When we go to Orlando, it almost doubles,
That's cool. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good community there.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a lot of fun here, man. I've been having a lot of fun with that. That's for sure. But man,
well, man, like I said, go ahead.
No, we just been grinding on this. We put the events on hold for about a year after BBQ Bando because a few things kind of didn't fit the game plan, So I just had to like step back and that's what kind of like the road trip was about, was going to hit some of these major events and seeing what people's doing, what's working for them, what I felt didn't work for us, and I've never.
How many events did you hit?
Well, we were on the road for 16 weeks, and
which is crazy. Good for you.
We hit 30 states in 16 weeks, man. We hit West Coast Throwdown. We went to the Northwest FPV Park. We left from Rampage. That's where the tour started from. So we hit Rampage, and then we came into Florida. We came back into Florida for there was a throwdown in Orlando, and then we just started bouncing around the country, man.
Did you make it for coast to coast or?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. All driving too.
Yeah, all driving. All driving.
Did you get sick of driving?
Actually, no, man. It was fun. It was really fun.
Was it good?
It was cool because the dude I went with, Adam, he's the founder of 4U FPV. He's like me. He doesn't like to drive on the interstates. So it was like We did all the back roads, all the highways and byways, and he doesn't like to drive for long periods of time. I think the longest drive we
Yeah.
did was 6 hours.
Oh, see, that's perfect.
You know,
That's
our
perfect.
normal, yeah, our normal drive time was about 3.5 hours.
See, that's perfect. See, I hate the freeway too.
Yeah. You
All
just
all the good stuff is on the back roads. That's the stuff where you run into people and you see things.
Yeah, when you're on the interstate, you get a rest area here and there, but I mean, you miss what the country's really about. And it was
Yeah.
like all the back roads, especially like going through Louisiana and going through the back through the bayous. And dude, we just so many rip and dips. And that's the thing that I really enjoyed about traveling with Adam was he's like me. He has no problem hitting the brakes and throwing one in the air. So it was like, we'd be driving down the street and I'd have the laptop over and I'm on Google Earth or on Google Maps and like we're like, hey man, there's something coming up on the left. And we'd pull over and be like, is it worth it? Hell yeah, let's get after it. Drop the packs, jump in the car. And it was kind of cool because, we both get up pretty early. So we check into a hotel, drop footage, edit footage, kind of hang out, get some local food, fly a little bit. And then we'd wake up, check out about 9 o'clock and we would drive and, normal check-ins are about 2 o'clock. So we'd fuck around until about 2 o'clock, find the
Yeah,
next hotel, check in and then chill, and then,
that's perfect.
start Google mapping where we're going next.
Yeah, Google Maps is a huge blessing, isn't it?
Yeah. And, this year, like I said, this is about the fifth or sixth major road trip that we've done with TDA. And, it's always an evolving process with us.
Mhm.
Every trip I'm taking notes on what to do. And this one here, we kind of introduced to where we kind of were a couple days ahead of the tour. So what we would do, we get on Google Maps and be like, hey guys, we're leaving this location and ending up at this location. This is the road. This is the route we're taking. If you're a half an hour on each side of this blue line that Google Maps has give us, hit us up, dude. Drop a pin and we'll be there. So it was like,
Cool.
meeting up with groups of pilots or just a single pilot here or there that never had, it's weird to me because I'm kind of spoiled in FPV because I grew up in the FPV community around big groups of people. And it's like
Mhm.
it's hard for me to comprehend a pilot that's been flying for a couple years and hearing people say, I've never flown with another FPV pilot. It
Yeah.
blows my mind. It's like, how is that possible? But that just comes to where a lot of people live.
Man, it really does because if you look at the social network, I mean, it looks like FPV is such a huge global community and coast to coast. But if you're not living in one of these central hubs, these cities, East Coast, West Coast,
Yeah.
Florida, if you're more in the middle, there's not I'm not going to speak for every state, but like Arkansas, there's just not a whole lot of us. And
There's
then of the few that are I'm still learning about pilots that have been in it for 3 or 4 years, but they're not part of the whole social life. They're not on
Yeah,
Facebook. They're not in on
exactly.
YouTube and stuff. And
They're just ripping packs, and that's
yeah,
what's cool
yeah,
about it. It was like, and dude, I have met some dudes that stick bang like crazy. And it's like, dude, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I don't do it for social media. He's like, this is just something I do to keep my mind in the game. And it's like, bro, you're a monster out here.
yeah.
And it's like, and it was kind of cool because it's like we were also able with this trip to get people not only out of their comfort zone, but bringing them to new locations. Like some of the guys that wanted to meet up with us, they were 45 to an hour away from where we were going. So they would drive to us and they've got a new place that they're flying.
Mhm.
They're flying with new people at a new location. It was so awesome to watch some of these guys, especially the ones that haven't flown with people. Like, it's like, to me, it seems like their confidence wasn't there. Like they'd pull up to a new location and they were like really gentle flying and then it was just like, dude, don't worry about breaking your gear. We got a carload of gear. We came to break your gear, man. I'll build it while you're hanging out. If you don't feel confident with your soldering skills, we'll rebuild it. And then just watching these guys come out of their shell and just absolutely murder these spots, dude. It was awesome, man. It was so
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I need to get out of the state and come to one of these events. Haven't been to any of the events yet.
bro. We
What's
got
it
a
like?
big
How do you manage the flight line? Like, what's it like when you got the 30 people wanting to fly? Like, how does a flight line
well,
work?
like we've kind of come up with our own thing, like I said, West Coast Throwdown does it kind of just like, a lot of these events, they're just like stand in line and just kind of grab a spot, and it gets hectic. With us, we have a flight line captain on all of our flight lines. But the thing that we found that works a little bit better is we'll set up tables. So if we at our upcoming event, we've got two separate flight lines. We got a racetrack, and then we've got the freestyle area. So what we do is we break the channels in half, odds and evens. Racetrack will have evens, we'll take the odds.
Okay.
So what
Okay.
we'll do is we'll set out tables, and every table will have a channel on it. You know,
Smart.
1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. So what you do is set your quad on the table, and the thing that we've learned that makes it easier where everybody's not stepping on each other is we rotate systems. So
Okay.
DJI and Walk Snail play together very, very well. So it'll be this next round is DJI and Walk Snail. And then the next flight, after they fly their pack, the next round will be analog and, HD
HD
zero
zero.
or, whatever. But it's like we alternate those back and forth. That way there's
Okay.
not a lot of blowout, you know,
Yeah.
everybody plays together. You pick your channels, and it's like, you could switch channels throughout the event. But if you're flying with the like-minded systems, they work together very well. And
So y'all do waves like 5 minute, 1 pack, and then when
we
everybody
do,
lands, you switch to the next
yeah, yeah,
link or
we
what?
do we do one pack.
Okay.
We launch everybody off at the same time. Everybody stays on the flight line till the last quad either crashes or comes home. You
All
know,
right, that's organized.
Yeah, we try to limit it to about 5 minutes. At the 5 minute mark, flight line captain will hit the whistle and be like, all right, guys, think about bringing them back. And it's just out of a respect thing because,
Sure.
the guys that throw up a long range quad, they can get 15, 20 minutes out of a flight.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Everybody,
like,
everybody wants to burn packs.
yeah. And then when everybody's down, we shut it down. You got 5 minutes, 5 minutes to go find your rig. If you can't find it, we shut that channel down and the next group goes out. And then you get
I'm
to
gonna
go
rem-
out and then
I'm gonna
you go
remember
out.
that method because I've been out of state flying at drift events and stuff like that, and it's people are plugging in on each other. Like I had a fresh build. I mean, it was a nice. It wasn't a GoPro. It was a nice camera, and
Yeah.
dude plugged in on me, and he crashed and destroyed
See
my
now,
camera. That didn't want upset, but it's
our
like
last,
we
our
need to get
last
it organized.
yeah, our last few events I did we started this, and a few other events are using it now, but it takes a little bit more management. You have to have a few more volunteers. But what we did was um we make dog tags. Made a TDA dog tag, it had your pilot handle on it, and we made a board, a channel board. So what you would do is you'd walk up to the flight line, you'd hang your dog tag on your channel and on what system you were on, and when it was your turn to fly, you guys went out. But the problem is people forget to take their tags down, so it
Yeah.
that you actually had to have a guy that actually just ran the board. So what we did, we're like, you know what? If we just incorporate the tables, it's the same responsibility. You bring your quad up, set it on your table, and it doesn't matter. Like if there's two at the same line, like I said, we switch out, we do digital, and then we do HD, which is analog and like
Hmm.
HD zero.
So, I mean, to incorporate that, like I could just bring an extra folding table and we'll just set that up, and it's just like, dude, put your quad on the table. We'll just run a line, and everybody gets to burn a
The way
pack.
you do it, bro.
And just keep rotating. That way, nobody's plugging in on each other.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, like when you come to our events, you sign an agreement in the very beginning. We understand it's an event. Things happen. You got noobs that don't know what they're doing. They might be
Mhm.
in the pits and like, oh, check out my lights and plug in and not realize it. But I mean, we run a system out there. You three strikes and you lose your flight pass. You can still be at the
Okay.
event, but you sign a contract that we understand mistakes happen. We're not going to ride your ass or whatever, but you have to remember when you plug in on somebody, you're potentially going to damage someone's gear.
Right.
Be a man. My bad. Step up and either help him try to fix it. But we also have a TDA slush fund, which stacks on stacks on stacks, cameras,
Mhm.
things like that. That if someone does get plugged in on, instead of someone walking around grumpy and pissed off and, oh, son of a bitch plugged in on me, here, brother. I know it's going to be a little bit.
Yeah.
Go into the build room. If you want one of there's 2 or 3 TDA guys in there with hot irons. We'll help you, but let's get you back up in the air.
Yeah, I see, I get that some people get frustrated when that happens, but to me, it's just you have to expect that when you're flying with a group of people, there's a 10% chance that that's gonna happen. It's just part of FPV. Don't get just roll with it,
Yeah, that's
just
the whole thing is just, we're all out here having fun. It happens, man.
yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty embarrassing about 2 years ago. I went up to Savannah and a couple guys, they had a multi GP race going on and the race was over, but there was an AMA field there and a guy had a wing up in the air, an FPV wing up in the air. And I didn't realize it. We were out in the parking lot and I just had some programmable LEDs put on my quad. And my buddy was out there. I was like, dude, you got to see these new lights. And I plugged in, and all of a sudden I heard, oh no. And I looked over, and all I seen was a spec wing at about 140 miles an hour just hit the ground and exploded. And then I realized what I did, and I was like, "Oh, snap, man." So I went up. I said, "Hey, brother, that was me. My bad, blah blah blah." He's like, "Dude, I just bought that thing yesterday." And so, luckily for me, he bought it from a company that I associate a lot with. So I was like, well, check it out, man. I ended up walking to the side. I called my buddy up and I was like, hey, man, I just buried a nano drac in the ground at 140 miles an hour. I said, it wasn't mine. I plugged in on the kid. I was like, can you help me out? And he was like, what do you need? I said, man, I just want to replace this dude's thing. You know what I'm saying? And literally with 20 minutes later, there was a shipping label created, and I walked up to him. I said, I know this doesn't help you today. I said, but you have a brand new Nano Drac in the mail right now coming to you. I said, let's go out there and see what's salvageable. Luckily, the Vista and the camera was still good in it. But I mean,
Cool.
it was a foam drac. It exploded.
Yeah.
The electronics were
Phone.
good in it, so but he was super, like afterwards, before he left or whatever, he was a little grumpy for a little bit. And then before he left, he came up and he said, he said, dude, I just want to say thank you for being stand up. He said, anybody else would have just left me to eat this. And I was like, I did it, brother. I've got to be, I care about this hobby and this was my fault.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That's the
So,
right way to handle it.
and it's little things like that that go such a big way.
Oh, dude,
You know what I mean?
that's what makes FPV is stuff like that.
It truly is, and like at the events, like I said, we deal with, we're not when we throw our events, we kind of have 2 classes of events. We have like a throwdown. The TDA throwdown is an unorganized event. There's no tickets. There's no real camping. I mean, there might be camping, but there's no organization to it, and that's basically the throwdowns are more for the rippers, the guys that have a little bit of, a little bit more experience. And, we go like to these really obscure spots that, like we all traveled up to the Bleachery in South Carolina and there was like 15 of us that just went out there for the weekend and went. all out. I mean, I broke 10 GoPros in the first day. But, you
See,
know,
that's where groups is dangerous because they push you.
yeah, and that's the thing. You know, when a throwdown occurs, like, you know, that's just the thing. It's the core family, you know, it's core family and friends, and nobody is going to let you get away with doing goofy, you know. You're not just going to fly through a gap if you ain't inverted or flipping through it. They're going to call you out. You know what I'm saying? So those are the events, you know, those are the get-togethers that get expensive, is because there's a lot of skill out there and everybody's trying to match that vibe, and you know they push you, you know. So but you know, are like the TDA actual events where we spend months with the tickets and the venues and all this other stuff, you know, that we like to consider it a festival more than an event, because we want
Okay.
everybody from beginners to pros to come out. We want everybody to feel comfortable. And that's the thing. It's like we create an environment to where every flight line isn't intimidating. You know,
Hmm.
when I first got into FPV and I started going to like the festivals and the big events, like I would roll up to the flight line, man, and I was scared to put my quad on the flight line. Just because, you know, I mean, you look next to you and two seats down is like schizo or steel, and you're like, I can't go up in the air with these guys, you know. And it was like, you know, that was just something that kind of resonated, you know, when we went up to Philly and we flew with Bot Grinder for his birthday, like I was nervous, you know. I mean, it was
Hmm.
just like Wombat, which is probably my all-time FPV hero, dude. I mean, I grew up on this dude. He's not around really much anymore, but he comes out every once in a while. But this dude is an absolute ripper, you know. And it was like the first time I met him in person, like when I armed my quad, my hands were shaking. You know, it was like, and it but, you know, and then like once I started like hosting events, we got to the point where it was like, let's make an environment to where everybody flies. And I mean, at BBQ Bando, I've noticed, you know, there was a few people that paid for a ticket and they just kind of lurked around the flight lines, you know, and you got
Yeah.
Squints and, you know, the TDA boys, and, you know, you got some heavy hitting pilots out there flying. They get nervous. So then it's like, you know
Which,
what? I grab
I
them
mean,
by
I would.
I grab him by the arm and be like, brother, you didn't spend your time and your money getting here to watch. Get them up on the line. Let's go. You know, and then they get out there, they get that first pack in. And even if they crash, when you crash and you're a newbie and you got 50, 60 to 100 guys, like, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Send it. You know, you watch that you watch that confidence level just jump up and that nervousness just disappear. Then the rest of the event, man, you're fighting these guys to get on the flight. You know, they're just steadily on the flight line pushing packs. And that's what it's about.
That's cool. That's cool. If there was one thing, you wanted when you're doing one of these events, that one thing that you wanted, wish every pilot knew, understood, did differently, what have you, what would that be?
Um,
What would make things so much easier for the everybody?
knowing your gear, if that
As
makes
in,
sense, knowing what your gear is, and like, you know, knowing, and this is more, and it's like I'm not trying to focus on the rookies, but it's knowing how to change channels. You know, when we
oh
come to
yeah,
our event, when you check in, we have a laptop set up that already has the FCC hack on it. So your goggles, we don't let people out there fly with the you know, with auto if you're on like the O3 or whatnot.
hmm,
You drop the firmware on it, and then after the event, you hit factory reset and you go back to your auto channels. But it's things like that, is like knowing how to change channels, you know, making sure you're on 25 megabits, you know, those are the things that really help at the event, you know.
makes sense. Especially for the pilot, the people that fly by themselves all the time. You you don't ever change your channels. You don't ever.
Well,
You just
a lot of
you don't ever
guys,
change your. You
yeah,
know.
and a lot of guys don't do the FCC hack to where, you know, their goggles are on
Hmm.
auto, especially, you know, with the
Yeah.
goggles too. And, you know, It can work at an event, but your flight line operator has to know that they plug in last. And that's like everybody, like your Vistas and whatnot, they plug in first. They have to go through the entire boot cycle, and then the auto guys plug in last because then they select. But the problem with auto at our events, if we're running two different flight lines and evens on one flight line and odds on another flight line, if you
Yeah.
plug in auto, you might be stepping on a flight line that's on the other side of the venue.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't run auto. That makes total sense.
Yeah, so it's like, and we make it easy for you. We've got a TDA pilot that sits in check-in, because when you check in, like, I'll walk you through the check-in process. When you come in, show your ticket, scan your ticket or whatnot. You sign all your forms, all your releases, all that stuff, and then we do a safety check, which is basically a fail safe. Take your props off your quad, plug it in, arm it. While it's spinning, turn your radio off. Motor should stop spinning. That way, if you get any runaways or anything like that, all you have to do is cut your radio off and your quad will fail safe.
Do you find many people that don't have fail safe set up?
Some racers, a lot of racers don't,
Oh, okay.
because a lot of racers, because I mean, it comes automatically with Betaflight. When you flash Betaflight, it
Uh-huh.
automatically comes with that fail safe in there. You have to physically go in and take that out.
Why would racers turn that off?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was just
I
I
don't
thought I
know.
was just silly.
There are a few of them. There are a few of them that do take it off that I've noticed.
Okay. Maybe
But
maybe they're
could
fighting
be,
micro fail safes or something. I don't
it,
know.
it could be, but like I said, that's the main one. And then, like I said, after that process, then you walk. If you need to do the FCC hack, we already got a laptop, so all you have to do, it's on file. All you do is pull your SD card out, slap it in the computer, drop the file on it, put it back in your goggles, reboot it. Now you got all your channels open.
Well, and that's just a benefit. I mean, why take it off? You can always just run auto with
Yeah,
it.
and then, like some of
Just
the guys, they don't like it, or they don't really want it, because it is considered an FCC hack. So, and then, like after the event, all you have to do is go in your goggles and hit reset, and it goes back to normal.
yeah, I'm all about those hacks.
Yeah, me too. Like, anything that makes it better. But those
Yeah.
are some of the main things. And I would have to say the other pet peeve is, guys need to realize that if you're working on a build, even if you plug it into Betaflight, your VTX heats up. So you're black,
Yeah.
you're pumping. So, and that's the other thing that we're learning now, is like, we've got at this location is super dope, because we actually have an indoor area that's in a brick building, that if you're going into
Helps.
work, when you're going into work, right at the door, as soon as you walk into the build room, we automatically make you set your power to 25. So
Smart.
you're at the very low milliwatts while you're working on your quad. And during the flight line, if someone gets hung up in a tree and it's going to be 10 or 15 minutes, flight line captain be all right. All right, boys, if there's anything you need to fix, get on Betaflight now. Flight line's down for about 15 minutes. So then you can go in and do your little tweaks and adjustments and things like that. We
Sounds like
also
you got it laid out real well.
Yeah, and then during the event, we also shut down the flight line every once in a while for like about a 30-minute window, and be like, all right, guys, after this next two rounds, flight lines are down for 30 minutes. It's wide open. Work on your quads if you need to.
Yeah.
So if you have to
That's
do any
smart.
major repairs, or you can get everything soldered up and ready to go, and then you're just sitting there waiting on the build light to go on. And then as soon as the build light goes on, everybody's plugging into Betaflight, everyone's kind of getting doing that thing. And it's just the whole idea of pack rotation. My biggest goal at our event is, have fun, but secondly is a high pack count. I want pilots, when they leave, if they didn't get a lot of footage, it's because they were wanting to hang out and chit chat. Like we
Yeah.
want you to be able to leave and say, holy shit, dude, I flew 58 batteries this weekend. When
That's what mhm.
there's 150 pilots and you're driving home with a 128 card full, it's a good event, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That is definitely the goal because it's tough sometimes when you go fly with friends and groups of people and stuff to get as many packs as you want in.
yes.
And it's cool that y'all have figured it out where you've got this rotation so that you can get sounds like you can get as much flying in as you want to.
Yes. And our flight lines, the one thing about us, dude, we push packs 24 hours a day. Our flight lines are open 24/7. Right now, as it sits, we've got 2.5 miles of LEDs that we're putting out in the freestyle area.
Oh, cool. Cool.
So we've got a production company that's involved with us. So we've got a bunch of big stadium lights that we hang up in tree. I mean, the place is going to be lit up.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, 24 hours a day you can fly at these events. The flight lines will be open this year. The racetrack is underneath a rodeo canopy, stadium seating. There's lights. There's audio. So I mean, it's going to be daylight for them around the clock. So the guys that want to bullshit all day and kind of like hang out and socialize, they can wake up at 2 in the morning and walk out to the flight line and just absolutely go ham.
That's really cool. Is there anybody that lives close to this location?
Yeah,
Or like
there's
they're gonna be listening to everybody racing all night?
it's there are houses that are proximity, but they hold there's barrel racing, they hold the actual county fair there, there's concerts there,
They're used to it.
they're
This is gonna be
customers.
minor.
And with us, I mean, drones screaming at night, we got live DJs, so it's gonna kind of mask it up a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. They're gonna rave, huh?
Yeah, it's like I said, for us, I like to push the festival vibe where it's not just, we have got right now as it sits, I've got 22 amazing FPV sponsors involved with this. I mean, we've got my FPV store out of Florida. We're going to have a shop on property. They're bringing the entire shop. So,
Okay, cool.
but we also like to involve our locals. We're trying to generate local money as well. So, we got the Classic Cruisers Club, the car club on Saturday. We're having a
All
full
that.
throttle classic car club. There's going to be a car show on Saturday. So that group alone, they bring 75 to 100 people at their events. So now having them there, we're bringing 75 to 100 people that don't know nothing about FPV on property that kind of get to see what we're doing. There's a really shady light on FPV. Well, not FPV, but on drones in general.
Yeah.
So I think that events like this kind of let people that aren't into the drone or the FPV world or the FPV life get to see exactly who we are. Like, we're not out here spying. And, I mean, this is a group of
Mhm.
people that just enjoy extremely aggressive, extremely adrenaline filled sports.
Right. It's like you want to tell people like you're not entertaining. You're boring. Following you is boring. We want gaps. We want dives.
Yeah.
We want speed. Like, why would we follow you
Yeah.
around?
So it's like
That's not it.
we've incorporated a bunch of local vendors. Like we've got the guy that does custom hats coming out, the lady that knits all my custom beanies, she'll be out there.
That's
We got the
cool.
hot apple cider lady. She's like a staple to St. Augustine. She's been in business for like 30 years. So she's coming out. I mean, it's just that local vibe.
Damn, I gotta come out one year. I gotta come out and catch one of
Yeah,
these
you
because
definitely
it
should.
really sounds like a great time.
It really is, man. And like I said, it's not just for me, flying is a bonus. For me, it's like people always ask, why do I first and foremost, I want to let people know TDA is not a business. We're a crew. We are a family of drone pilots that are like-minded, So
How
this
many? How many's in this? How many's in
right
crew?
now there's 25 team pilots.
Cool.
And then we have the TDA Army, which is kind of like the follower, our Facebook groups and our followers, the guys that kind of
Mhm.
like, there's
Support y'all.
2,000 of us, but that's the,
Um,
you know, putting these
that's an
events
army.
for me, events are profitable if you want to be that, you know, I don't do this for money. I live on disability. I'm not rich by no means, but I'm okay, if that makes sense. And,
Mhm.
I put the hard work, it takes months to plan these, dude. It's stressful as
Oh, I'm
hell,
sure.
but there's a lot that goes into it. And, my reward and the only thing I ever get from these events at the end of the event on Monday, there's a steakhouse at the end of the street and I buy myself $100 ribeye. That's what I
I
do
don't
for
blame you.
But I put the time and the effort into this event is because I get to spend 3 days with 150 of my friends in
Yeah.
an enclosed environment to where we're adults doing adult shit, so it's like that's the payoff for me is like I'm able to hang out with people that are into the same thing that I'm into, which is good music, good food, and throwing drones around the sky as violently as possible.
No, that's a perfect goal, man. That's a
You know,
perfect way.
and that's what I get out of it. That's what makes me happy. I come from a background of events and festivals. I was a traveling road chef for almost 30 years. I was on the road with a lot of big name bands and, we hosted big festivals. So I was able to cut my teeth around some of the biggest promoters in the country. I was able to like kind of ghost them around for years and seeing how they made things work and how they moved and what they didn't waste their time on. So it's like I've got a good amount of experience on how to do this. And everybody will tell you, if you know anything about our events, the books, dude. These are the event Bibles. And as you can see, they are super well taken. It starts out from day one to week one, week two, and there's just checklists. At week one, this needs to be done. By the end of week two, all of these in week one need to be checked off before we move on to the next step, which is, and I mean, that comes from the accounting, setting up the bank accounts, getting the permits. Um, then you start reaching out to your sponsors and hitting up the news crew and the media, so it's like every week there's a different chapter of what needs to be done that week, so it
That's
takes
cool.
the stress off of it and it makes it easier for when you're working with a crew, with a TDA family.
Yeah.
When I open this up and I'm like, okay guys, we got 15 things on this week, people get to pick what they're doing. So everybody's got a moving part that at the end of the week, I hit them up. Hey, man, how are you on your assignment? Or, done,
Mhm.
checked off. When we go to the next page, that's all dead done, brother. So now,
Right.
and it's like,
And you've got a history, and you can modify that history for the next event, so
yep,
things go better the next time.
exactly. I take a lot of notes. A lot of people laugh when I'm at an event. You'll see me with uh, one of those composition books, and I'm
This isn't
steadily,
working so well.
steadily
Yeah.
writing. And it's like, okay, what did I spend time on that was kind of wasteful? Or what
Mhm.
should I have spent more time on? What's
Or
not
what
working?
went really well.
Exactly. What do we need to kind of
Mhm.
fine tune these things? And like I said, this is always going to be a work in progress. We're a grassroots festival, and we want to be bigger and better with everyone. So that's the goal, is to just kind of fine tune these things. And another thing that we do is when you buy a ticket, you put in all your info. We've got your email address. So about a week or two after the event, we send everybody a list and say, hey, man, do me a favor. Let us know how we did. And it's just scoring it, what would
Hmm.
you do? What did you have fun doing, or what do you want to see done at the next event? What do you think was wasteful? So it's like it's not just us seeing it. We're taking this from the perspective of attendees, because a lot of people think that I get kind of arrogant at the events, and it is not it. I've got two earpieces in, I've got 15 guys talking to me, and I still want to be the guy to walk around and shake everybody's hand, say hello. So it's
Hmm.
like I'm not really in that pilot mode. I'm in coordinator mode.
Well, you're
So
a promoter. You're
yeah,
promoting.
it's like
You got stuff you got to take care of.
exactly. I'm always on the move. So it's like I don't get to hang out like I want to. That's
You
something
remind my
that
you remind my friend Bushy. So back in the day here, he was a promoter. We throwing parties, and you know, while everybody is enjoying the show, he's having to work.
yeah,
You know, once the show is over, that's when we finally got to hang out with Bushy, and Bushy
yes.
could relax and let loose and enjoy. But during the show, it's not like he could sit and listen to a
Well,
whole set.
that's what I tell everybody. It's like my day at an event is the day before and the day after. You know, at the day before, once we get everything set up and we're a green light, and that's where our volunteers and the guys that help set everything up, you know, on that Thursday, we'll get out there early in the morning. We'll have everything done probably about 3 or 4 o'clock. And then it's just, I turn them boys loose. No flight line
Mhm,
captains or nothing, boys. Get out there and get some packs in, you know.
mhm.
And then on the last day, before we tear it all down, after everybody's kind of left, it's like, the volunteers and the tear down guys. It's like, all right, guys, before we tear this bitch down, you got 2 hours. Let's get after it. And I mean,
Yeah.
we just push packs. But when I'm at the event, I am in host mode, and I'm always on the move. There's always some little fire that's going on, you know.
Mhm.
And the thing that I'm starting to learn now, I got a really bad problem of letting things go. It's like I want to be in the helm the entire time, and it gets stressful. So it's like that's what I've been doing these past two events is there's a handful of guys that really proven themselves on the TDA team. You know, they've been there. So it's like now I'm starting to feel comfortable with
Giving them some
giving that
responsibility.
earpiece up for a couple hours. And that's what I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing every day. I've got it wrote in my book. I've got a scheduled time twice a day. I'm giving an hour twice a day where I am going to hand the earpiece off, and I am an attendee.
There you go. There
You
you
know,
go.
you know, I'm not the TDA. I'm not the founder of TDA. I'm not the team captain. I'm NVSFPV, and I'm just going to slide around and go sit by the bonfire and shoot the shit and, enjoy a
That's
little,
good.
you know.
Balance it a little bit.
But it
You've
also,
cultivated it to this point.
yes, and the good thing about it like this is doing it this way, I'm bringing in certain individuals that are actually get to see the books firsthand. So they get to see the process. So every event, these guys are getting more and more involved. So eventually it's going to be one of those situations because, with my health, I'm a realist. My health isn't the best right now, but I don't want this to end because something medically happens to me.
Right.
I want to feel comfortable to where I could just hand the books off to the next TDA guys in line and say, "All right, boys, I'm here. If you need any help, I'll give you all the advice I need." But I think that we've done this as a team long enough that you guys could pick up the torch and run with it. And that's
Well,
the
hopefully that's a long
yeah.
ways out.
I'm I hope so too, man. I feel good. I tell people, a lot of people don't know that, stage 4 terminal cancer. I've been fighting it for about 6 years now. FPV saved my life.
Mhm,
I got to the point where I got tired of doctors telling me and my family that I wouldn't make it to the end of the month. So finally, I told them, I said, if that's the case, what am I here for? If I'm not going to make
mhm.
it till the end of the month, why am I wasting 5 or 6 hours in this fucking office?
Right.
I'm going to told my sister, you're going to find me somewhere with my goggles on. And that's the mentality that I took. I was like, I'm going to fly until I can't fly no more. And I seem to get better, man. Like my mindset changed. I was feeling better. I started surrounding myself with good people. And
Mhm.
I kicked the dog shit out of cancer, brother. I'm not going to lie. I mean, my last CAT scan, I'm cancer free right now.
Oh, that's a blessing right there.
I went
That's a
to I went to
blessing.
30 days to live to I'm cancer free right now and no medications. That first year was really rough. I'm an ex addict. I'm a junkie, bro, from
Mhm,
way back. And when you hear that the outcome isn't good for you, and people are already talking about putting you in hospice, and then the doctors are like, take whatever meds you want, we're going to give you. We want you to be comfortable. You can't tell that to a junkie, bro,
I hear
because
you.
I'm not taking nothing stupid. I'm taking what I want, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it got real bad. It got to where I was watching the clock again. I was just waiting on my next medication, and it's like I felt worse than what I was before because I didn't have to search for it now.
Mhm,
Like back when I was in my addiction, there was always that I got to make 5 phone calls and I got to go sit in a shady parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Well, this time around, all I had to do was roll up to the hospital.
mhm.
No questions asked. And I didn't like who I was. So I was like, you know what? Packed up all the pills. I gave them to my sister. I said, I'm done. I'm not taking another medication. If this shit, everyone's saying that this cancer is going to kill me, it's going to take me on my terms. I don't want to be
Mm.
comatose. I don't want to be swollen.
Mhm,
I want to enjoy what I have left. And
mhm.
that's where FPV took over. I mean, I
And that's
flew
the thing
pretty,
about FPV, man, is it's helped so many people from PTSD
yeah,
to alcoholism to drug addiction
dude,
to
I was flying
whatever it
8 hours
is.
a day. I was flying 8 hours a day. I was in really bad shape. I was using a walker or whatnot, but I had a little box rigged to the front of my walker that my radio and my goggles sat in. I had a battery charger, and I would waddle my way out in the front yard and I would sit in a chair from sun up till sundown, just ripping packs, you know, and it put me in a good mindset, man. It
Yeah.
really did. Like at the end of the day, I was exhausted, but every time I pulled those goggles down, bro, life disappeared.
Right, you forget everything, and
I
it's
wasn't
just you
sick.
just tuned in.
Yep.
Mhm. No stress, no drama.
You
That's
know,
it's such an amazing piece of medicine.
yeah, and then, the people that I was associating with, once I started to clean my life up again, it was like I didn't associate with the pill guys that were calling me every 3 days because they knew I was getting a new script. When I got rid of all that and I just started surrounding myself with a lot of positive people, man. A lot of people were down for taking road trips, you know. A couple guys would be off during the week and be like, "Hey man, where are we going?" They'd come by and scoop me up and be like, "Dude, I got $150. Let's see how much gas and how far we can go on $150 and just and just drive out in the wilderness, man." I mean, literally, like
Mhm.
we used to do this coin toss thing where we would flip a coin at every gas station. So we would drive until we had to get gas, and it was heads north, tails south, or if it was east or west, we do a coin flip and we would just drive and find some cool spots to fly.
When you're on these road trips, do you save the spots on Google Maps?
Yes. Oh yeah.
You did? Yeah,
Oh,
me
dude,
too.
I have got when I decide to drop it, it's bananas, dude. It is. I'm like, I'm ex-military, so it's like, I was an executive chef, so like I'm really detailed about notes and things like that. And it's like, if you looked at, I mean, I've got a phone that I don't even use no more, but if you go in there and open up that notebook, I mean, literally, there's 150 pages of just 95, like I-95, exit this, exit that, I mean, just
Uh-huh.
spots everywhere. Every
Yeah, I'll spend hours just going through Google Maps, satellite imagery, and looking around the state. Looking if I'm going somewhere, I'll look along the road path. Like, is there anything that I can catch from the satellite images that I want to hit on my way to Tennessee or what have
yeah.
you? And then I'll save them. And
Well,
then
that's
if
kind of
I
like when
discover
I
things along the way,
on Google Images, I've got a couple different color pins that we use, and there's spots that I've never flown yet, but they're pinned. Just like we'd be driving, an FPV pilot, man. You can if you're driving, especially if you're in the passenger seat, and you're always looking around like, oh, that would be dope to hit, and so it's like I drop these random pins, and it's cool because it's like we use them for future road trips. Like when I'm
yeah,
on the road trips, like, oh man, we're 5 miles away from this pin I seen. Let's go see what it's about. So it's another cool way of flying new spots and
it's
things like
crazy how once you become a pilot, you can't drive down the road without scoping everything along the way. Going on, would that be a fun spot to hit?
that.
Everything is a spot now.
It's bananas, man. My sister laughs at me, like, especially when my sister likes to go to Hard Rock in Tampa once in a while or whatever, and I'll go with her. And it's like, I feel like I'm 6 years old when I get into a big city. I mean, I am literally like pinned up against the window, looking like, oh man, I want to hit that.
Uh-huh.
It's hilarious.
My biggest challenge when I hit a new city and stuff like that is not talking myself out of hitting that spot. Like, man, there's so many people around,
I
looking
still
around like
I
what's
still battle with that, but
oh, it's tough. It's tough. And
it is
sometimes it's the right call, sometimes it's the wrong call.
with me. I do have to say, this past year and a half, I'm going to say I grew up a little bit. You know, 2 years ago, I wouldn't give a fiddler's flyer, brother. I'm telling you, we don't even got to stop the car. I would put it on the hood as we're ripping and just send it. But now that TDA is becoming a little more organized and a little bit bigger, especially with a lot of newer pilots. I've noticed our group on Facebook is growing with a lot of newer pilots. So now it's like I feel a responsibility
Mhm.
versus just being that dude. Now don't get it twisted. When that camera ain't rolling, I'm that dude. But I do think a little bit more when I fly now. I mean, I do have some folders on my computer that no one will ever see. Matter of fact, there's a couple of spots from this past road trip that are better left in a file. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I always try. Once again, trying to be an ambassador for the hobby is, it's fun to be an absolute sender and just have that, full send attitude. But at the end of the day, for me, is like I feel like I'm representing FPV when I fly. So it's like I do think about safety, you know.
I think about it all the time. I talk myself out of more than I should, I think, because my worst my worst my worst nightmare is hitting hurting somebody with
I just
this
had a
this,
buddy.
this 3 pound drone, you
Yeah,
know?
I just had a buddy a couple years ago. I'm not going to say his name or whatnot, but he was newer in the hobby. And to come back to this story, is a lot of people watch videos, and this is what I'm finding is just like a lot of people watch, other people's content and whatnot, and they want to emulate it.
Right.
You know,
Replicate that.
so like, and nothing against MCK. I know the dude personally. I love him to death, but he has so many videos of him holding his drone and doing a 100-mile-an-hour hand launch. But people don't realize this kid sends, he's 150 packs a day. The kid is a pro. And then I watch some dude that's just getting into the hobby, and then he tries to do it. Next thing you know, the quad ate him up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I try to be responsible in that aspect of it. You know, um, I think.
Yeah, I just watched a video where a guy was at uh you could tell he was new, he was at the park. There's way too many people walking around at this park to be flying in the first place. He's trying to hand launch, he drops it, picks it back up, launches it at 100 miles an hour, keeps it in the air, and just like, but why? What's what did you accomplish?
Yeah,
You know?
there was another video that just went around. I believe he took it down because I had a really long conversation with him. But he bought he bought a RTF. He bought the whole kit or whatever, goggle. The whole drone ready to rock and roll or whatever. And I guess he's seen a couple people's videos of flying through their legs, and he was out in the park with his family, and he thought that he was going to fly a 5-inch drone. Now the kid's been flying literally 3 weeks, and he tried to fly through his leg, and he ended up cutting his Achilles tendon.
Mm,
Like the dude actually, he's in a leg brace right now.
mm.
And it's like that's the type of stuff that I
I
don't
mean,
bash anybody that does it. You do what you want, man. Everybody out there is a grown person. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you what to do, but it's things like that that I feel. I'm probably going to catch a lot of shit for this one, but I feel it's a little bit irresponsible when you're posting it to the world because, like I said, man, I I look up to a lot of pilots. Like when Phoenix flies, I try to emulate everything that kid does. I mean, the dude is an absolute beast. So it's like I get it when you look up to a pilot and you're watching their videos and you're watching things that they're doing, you want to try to push yourself to get to that level. And I think that some of the things out there are a little sketchy for me. I mean, just because
mhm.
I don't agree with them, I guess, everyone's got their own thing. Like I said, man, we're all grown folks. I'm never going to tell anybody what they can and can't do, but, you know, that was one of the big things for me.
Well, what I've always found, somewhat surprising about FPV is I don't wanna say it's a lack of common sense, where in some cases it is, but this I think it's driven by excitement. You're so excited when that you forgo the fact that I'm, only a year in. I'm still learning and not respecting the fact that you're only a year in or you're 3 weeks in or you're 6 months in, and you're trying to do some of these risky things,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Slow down," "Slow down."
I'm
It's
close
like,
I'm close to 9 years in, and I'm still learning things.
I was wondering how long you've been flying,
Yeah, coming up on my ninth, you know, um,
and you never stop learning,
no,
you know?
this hobby is always evolving, and that's the one thing that I really enjoy about this hobby is just there is a niche group of guys that aren't satisfied with things. So
Mhm.
everything's evolving. The firmware is getting better and the new builds and there's just they push the hobby to the next level and it's awesome. I love seeing the creativity that these guys do, I mean,
And like the developers, like, all those hours they invest, it just out of passion,
yep.
I mean, I can't think of another hobby where you have that sort of contribution. I mean, it's not golf, there's
I tell
it's not
people
hiking, it's like
I tell people all the time, man, I FPV because it's not because I want to. It's because I have to. There's something in me that it settles down what I'm dealing with. And it's just like if I don't fly for a few days, I feel it. I
Well,
mentally feel it.
it's FPV is my drug.
Yeah.
It's, when I wake
It's my
up,
therapy, man.
the
I mean,
first
it
thing on
really
my
is my
thought,
therapy.
yeah, the first thing in my mind is, what am I going to get into? And going back to the way I used to live my life of sitting on the couch and watching TV and then go, oh, well, I guess I need to mow the yard and get that done. And then, okay, well, I guess I'll go back and watch TV. And
Yeah.
like, I can't do that. I have to be fidgeting with something. And I've got all these
Same.
Ziploc bags with all these different builds and projects in that I just keep circulating.
I am just
S-
Project City.
I
I'm
was
always
dead.
doing something, but I
I
enjoy
was
it.
dead before MTV.
It's like, I don't go to the bars much anymore. Now, every once in a while, I don't get it twisted. I still like to have fun here and there, but I mean, for me,
I
it
don't want to
doesn't make
waste my
sense.
money.
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense for me to go to a bar and drop 150, 100 bucks at a bar to come home. I'm paying for a headache, but the thing that it calculates in my head was like, damn, man, that's a set of motors. I just gave that bartender a brand new flight controller,
Hmm.
So it's like I
You
get
could
what
buy
I'm
you could build a whole analog quad for 150 bucks,
yeah. So
and then you have something to show
exactly.
instead of just peeing it out.
It is. And with me, and I'm blessed to have the core group of friends around me because they're all like-minded. It's just so many dudes that are willing to give their time and to the community and helping out pilots and, you know, going to drive to go meet up with dudes to go, just to hang out. And that's what it's about.
Mhm.
That is really what it's about.
So you said you've been in the hobby for 9 years. So you've seen you've seen the hobby progress, and then
Yeah.
in my short time, I've seen the hobby progress from what it was to what it is today. Like, what do you like where FPV is currently? The type of pilots it's bringing and the vibe and stuff? Or
Now, once again, okay, man, God, why do you want to point a target on me? Everybody who knows me, they know I'm not going to bite my tongue, so it's going to come out
and
anyway.
don't.
I
This is your
think,
opinion. You have a right.
hold on. I think,
Because I'll share you with mine in my short time. And I think it's probably gonna sync up somewhat.
yeah, for me, I think that it was good, just as good as it is bad for the hobby was when the RTF started coming out,
I Makes sense.
because when in the old school days, flying FPV was a process. It wasn't go buy a quad and throw it in the air. It was a month. It was
Mhm.
ordering the part,
It
watching the videos and ordering the parts and figuring
it
out
weeded out. It
figuring out
weeded
how
out
to
a certain.
fly. And it got rid of so many.
Yeah.
A lot of pilots came and went in those days. The
Mhm.
building process and the repairing process.
And the
And then when
headaches and
Finding Flies came out, it was just anybody with a little bit of money can go buy a rig and put a battery on it that day, not
mhm.
know, and I'm not, once again, I'm going to catch shit for this. I believe that when people buy a ready to fly kit, with goggles, batteries, charge, when you buy all of that, I believe that the switches should not be set up. I believe that
I agree.
a pilot needs to learn how to do the basic things, at least get an understanding of your gear. And that's the sketchiest part for me is the guys that are coming in and know absolutely nothing.
And they buy a 10-inch.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all running 6S. Like when I first
Yeah.
started flying, dude, I flew 3S.
Mhm.
This will tell you how old I've been, how long I've been in the hobby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, this was the very this was the very first spec racer. But
I feel DJI has made it so there's huge achievements with DJI, but it also makes it so much easier for more people that
well,
some people should be.
is kind of have the right because DJI has certain fail safes, like if you get in a bind with like the Avata or whatnot, you can take your hands off the friggin' sticks and it'll
Mhm.
stop.
Mm.
You could
Yep.
you could get your mind back together and figure out what needs to be done. But a full, like a freestyle rig with no experience, you get that thing up in the air, man. It is continual momentum,
Mhm. Yeah. And
and
that's
like
where I think
it
DJI has made it so easy for more mainstream people to get in,
yes.
and that's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. And I feel like there's been a shift in the time I've been in it, less on less on honing your skills and pure flight and stuff,
Yeah,
and a little bit more surface level.
yes. I totally
There's
agree with you.
there's some people that probably shouldn't be flying, you know,
Brother.
and there's
I say that all the time, but who the fuck am I to judge, man? You know what I'm saying? But like
uh-huh.
I said, I think with the RTF kits and everything, it has opened up a door to getting more people into the hobby.
And
Now,
it right.
did it make it safer or make it more productive for our hobby? I
There somewhere in the middle is the answer.
there's that, that pendulum swings, and it's just like, I think one of the greatest groups out there, Yosef and all them boys with the beginner to FPV, those groups, FPV builders, the beginner, uh, those groups are amazing. But it's like some of the questions that I see get thrown up there, I just shake my head. It's like this dude shouldn't even be plugging a quad in if he's asking that question. I mean, honestly. I mean, if you want, I mean, and that comes from not a judgment or anything. That comes from a pure safety issue.
Yeah.
Like I tell a lot of these guys around here, we're able to fly the spots we fly because of the reputation we have. You know, I'm not perfect, dude. A couple of years ago, I blasted a lady's windshield out. We were flying at the barbecue. They have a big barbecue competition here at the fairgrounds. There was probably 800 people out there, and that there was there was a spot in the back that we were flying or whatever. I had a fail safe. I went over the top of the trees and had a fail safe and put a quad through a $100,000 Mercedes windshield. I mean, brother,
Damn.
it pushed the windshield into the seat. I mean, I blasted it, but
Damn.
they seen it. I mean, I seen that they seen it. Like the security and the people that were running the event, they seen it, and I seen them manipulating their way towards the exit. Like if I like I was just gonna pack my gear up and leave, but I told everybody that was out there. I said, man, y'all pack up and get out of here. I sat in that field for 3.5 hours. Um, I seen the lights on the car from where she clicked her clicker. I seen the lights flash and I seen who it was. And I got up. I introduced myself. I said, sweetie, I am going to ruin your day. I said, but I crashed my quad into your car and I've knocked the windshield out of it. And she was furious, brother. I mean, she was hot. But I told her, I said, here's my information. Here's my driver's license. I said, if you're a Florida resident, I can have Safe Flight here within 30 minutes to replace your windshield. Unfortunately, she was from Carolina. So I already called up a place. I had an appointment set up. I said that you could drop this thing off tonight on the way home and it'll be ready in the morning. I will pay for this. Took care of it. Um, she came to me. The bill was, she came to me with the bill. I gave her my address or whatever. I said, when it's finished, and the windshield wasn't even the issue. It was adjusting all the sensors on the windshield. It was like $500. So
Damn.
she called me up, and I could tell by the sound of her voice that she didn't think that it was the right number. Like, she was surprised when I answered the phone. I gave her my address. I said, come by. Because she paid for it on her credit card. And I said, come by, I have the cash in hand. I will give you the cash, I'll pay for it. She came to the house with her husband. I counted her out $500 bills. I said, I'm so sorry to mess up your vacation. They got halfway down the road and I seen the brake lights turn on. They turned around and came back, and she gave me back half of that money. She said, you
Oh,
know what? She said, you are the most stand up dude I've ever seen. Like, her husband came out, shook my hand. And the coolest part was, they even went on the fairgrounds website, or the venue website for the barbecue thing. It was like, wrote the whole story out. Guys were flying drones in the back. One went out of control. It busted my windshield out. They said, but that guy sat in the parking lot for 2.5 to 3 hours. He replaced it. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a
mhm.
sudden I get an email from the fairgrounds, the people who were in charge of the venue. And they said, thank you for being a stand-up dude. I said,
That's cool.
if I was to leave, nobody would ever be able to fly a drone on that property again.
Right.
That's what
Right.
the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, you have to think about sometimes it's bigger than you. If you're at a spot and they come and they kick you out, why are you arguing? I hear these jackasses with, oh, this isn't controlled airspace and you can't this and you can't that. I said, dude, you just leave a bad taste in their mouth. Pick your stuff up and leave. No problem. Give me 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I'll be out of here. Go
Mhm.
back the next weekend. I do it all the
Right.
time.
Right.
When they start seeing you returning back, and they're seeing that we go to bandos, brother, and I get this all the time. I've had cops laugh at me. Like, we go to some of the dirtiest bandos, and sitting right next to my table is this trash can. I bring a trash can to me at bandos, and they're like, what are you doing? Why do you got a trash can? I said, man, we clean up when we leave. I'm not leaving my trash for anybody else. Yeah, even though this place is a shithole, I'm not leaving my trash behind, because I want you to know that we're trying to be responsible. I'm too old to
Mhm.
graffiti anymore. I just enjoy being in these places. It's away from
Right.
everybody, and it's like, it's really worked to our favor a lot of times. I've gotten to the habit that if they come and they kick us out, I get it, brother. You got a job to do. I'm not supposed to be here to begin with, but
Mhm.
give me 15 minutes, man. We're out of here. And then there was an instance, I don't know, last year sometime, we were flying at this abandoned college. Cops came, kicked us out. They came to see what we were doing. We're like, man, the parks are full. We just don't want to fly around in the parks. We just thought this was away from everybody. It's abandoned. Well, they said, well, the property owner doesn't want you here. No problem, man. I said, if you can give us 10 or 15 minutes, we'll wrap it up. We'll be out of here. Well, as we were wrapping it up, two cop cars pulled up, and I was like, okay, boys, they're fitting to trespass us. The owner said that, this is definitely them coming back to write us citations or whatnot. Cop got out of the car and was like, hey, man, 5 miles up the street, there's an abandoned parking garage. He's like, we don't patrol that area, and like gave me the wink and drove off. And that's
See,
become one of the most legendary spots in Jacksonville right now, is that parking garage.
that's cool. See, like, I mean, I think, you got to realize that one, negativity begets negativity.
It
If you're putting out negative vibes, you're gonna get negative vibes back. I remember 3 years ago, I'm in the Little Rock and I'm flying at a place that shouldn't be flying, but I go there ever so often. local pilots, hey, you're not allowed to fly there, what have you. I'm like, okay, nobody's told me this yet. I got it, but I'm gonna go, and I go and I'm flying, and I can see a cop rolls up on me as I'm flying. So I come in and land, and we had an hour conversation just talking about FPV. He was just curious. And he's like, I know you're not supposed to be here, but you're not harming anything. Just,
That's
don't
what
do anything.
a lot of times is, you're not supposed to be here, but I haven't got the call. He said, but if I get the call, you all are gonna have to leave. But just he's
Mhm.
like, I mean, and that's what I tell him. I was like, brother, no one here is young. We're all old, man. We're old dudes just hanging out.
Yeah.
And they're super, super cool. You don't
Yeah.
know how many I've got like a file of just still photos from my, like selfies of me and cops. And,
Mhm.
leaning up against, I've got goggles on my head, like, at the cop car. It's just, it's the interactions. And what's cool is St. Johns County Sheriff's Department, when they got their drone, it was kind of cool. When they first got their drone team together, they came out to the fairgrounds where we fly at on the weekends. And like he came
Mhm.
out, and like you said, it was an hour and a half of him just picking our brains.
See, that's funny because that just happened to me a few weeks ago here in Cabot. Cabot's a small town. And so I pull up to one of the places I go and fly from time to time just to test range on some antennas, what have you.
Yeah.
And lady cop pulls up and she's like, what are you doing? She's just curious. It's not that she's like, I'm gonna run you out of here. She just sees that I've got this backpack and I've got these goggles on, and she's just curious. And I said, fly FPV, I'm gonna fly my drone out here for a little bit. She calls her buddy who just bought the police just bought their first drone, and he's the pilot. So he came out, and then we went for an hour and a half conversation just talking about things. He's working on his Part 107. He's been
Yep.
testing flying in a restricted area by the Little Rock Airport, and I put goggles on him, and he was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
like that blows my mind." Like he's never, I'm like, yeah, dude, that's how good it is. I'm like, I'll share any of my knowledge with y'all because I think FPV could help protect y'all if y'all should have some
Well, that's
issues.
the whole
You
thing.
can fly some little drones in the house and scope it out, protect the person that you're going after.
Well,
I'm an open book for you.
that was kind of with us with the local team here was, they had the Autels or whatever, that they use. And then I was showing them some of the micro stuff and like what it can really do, like
Mhm.
penetration. Like I was like, check this out. Like we were in one parking garage and I was literally 3/4 of a mile away in an abandoned building, just going upstairs and everything. I was like, and I had him in the goggles. And like when I came back, he's like, something like that could be super useful,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
was like,
then
I was like,
I drop them some links, I drop them some information, and then
mhm,
I always leave them with the business. Hey man, if you have any questions or, and then I tell them, man, on one of your days off, bring your kids out here. We got the RC trucks out here. I mean,
mhm,
we enjoy having fun. Come on, man, I'll let you fly one of mine.
mhm.
They're like, oh well, I might break it, brother. I'm breaking all of this today. You
Well,
know,
what some pilots fail to think about is the ones that initially just get defensive immediately and they're frustrated because they're getting run off or whatever. Like you got to recognize, like if you handle that situation properly, hey, no problem, sir. We're on our way out of here. Appreciate you, being patient with us. We're gone. That next time that officer runs into a different pilot, he's not going to be an immediate dick to that person, or
and
less likely.
to jump on top of that a little more, we've been in places where one officer would come up and not really be hostile, but be a little on the we know that they're definitely going to try to run us out, and mid running us out, a call on his radio will come in and you'll hear the other like, oh man, those are the drone dudes, they're cool, and literally get in his car and drive away. Never mind, guys,
Mhm,
you're good. I mean, that's
mhm.
happened to us here several times. And, that just comes with the, if you get kicked, leave. It isn't like that's the only spot to fly,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Right. You're being an ambassador, you're being straight with yourself. I mean, why do you wanna go through life just
Yeah,
being in a
there was
negative
one
vibe?
spot we had here called the PGs, which is the parking garages. Dude, we got kicked out of there for 3 months in a row. Every weekend, they'd kick us out, and we would be back there that following Saturday. And then finally, like, the lieutenant came out, he's like, "Y'all just don't learn, do you?" I said, "It isn't that we don't learn, we just really enjoy being out here." I said, "We're not doing nothing wrong." It's like we're not trashing the place. There's no spray paint. We're just going to fly this for a few hours and then we're on our way. And we have never had any issues after I talked to him. It was just
Mhm.
diligence. That's what I told him. I was like, would people doing shady stuff have a trash can with them?
Right.
I was like, we pack in what we pack out.
Mhm. See, I feel like what's missing because, every time DJI releases a new Avata, Neo, what have you, you get this influx. I mean, because it happened to me when they came out with the original air unit and stuff. You get these fluxes of new pilots, right? Because it's a little bit easier, and you're amazed at the quality that you're getting and stuff. But I feel like this messaging of how to interact with and it doesn't have to be an officer, it could be the property owner, or
Anybody.
like you said, the lady, the person you damaged her windshield or whatever, on top of a focus on safety. Like, we need to educate, we need to speak more on when it's okay to fly at the park. When there's 300 people at the park on a Saturday at 2 o'clock with children, that's probably not the best time for a a 5-year veteran to be flying. Go somewhere else. You
Some guys,
don't want to smack somebody in the head with a
and that
drone.
comes down to the personality of the pilot himself. Some people do it for the look at me. So they look
That was
for
my immediate thought.
a reason to bang around people. So people can be like, "Oh, what is that? Can I check it?" I mean, but it is what it is, man. I mean, there has to be a certain etiquette. Do I know what it is? Fuck no, man. I'm savage, bro. I mean, our slogan as Team Drone Adventures is be savage, not average. I mean, we do some shady stuff, but like I said, this past year or so, I'm starting to find my lane of being more of an ambassador than just a sender.
I
Now
gotcha.
there are a few, there are some days where it's like, I mean, honestly, brother, there's days where I actually take my SD card out of my goggles. And people know when I pull my SD card out, we're going big in the paint. I mean, it's just all senders. But for the most part, I try to be an ambassador. It's like I want to show people what this hobby is. We do have a kind of a shitty stigma right now. You know, it's getting a little bit better, I feel, but all it takes is one dude, man. That's like right now, the big news in Florida is the Christmas show at Lake Eola in Orlando.
But they started falling out of the sky and
Fell
hurt
out
that
of the
kid.
sky, hit a child.
It caused heart issues, like he had a heart attack or palpitations or something because it
Yeah,
it hit him so hard.
yeah.
And
So the thing is, it's like, and everybody, they want to throw, that's the other stigma that I wish that we could kind of break is drones being jammed into that drone box,
mhm,
where it's really not, man. You have the racers, you have the FPV freestyle guys, you got the cinematography guys, and then you have an actual commercial drone, whether it be working agricultural or doing light shows or whatnot. We're not all the same pilots.
mhm,
There's there's different there's different standards to all of those different branches of droning.
mhm.
You know,
That's what me and that officer were chatting about because he was asking, he's talking about the laws coming out and he can't have DJI and what brands are good and
yeah,
stuff like that, and um, the NDAA and stuff like that. And one of the things I was pleased that I got to share with him was the difference in what I do. in what GPS drones do. I'm like,
Yes.
I, for the most part, I'm never going to go higher than the top of a tree. That's like, for the
That's
most part,
kinda, yeah,
that's,
that's the
you
same
know,
place I'm at. I'm like, if you see me over the top of the tree, I'm usually inverted and it's only for a second.
mhm,
I'm trying to get low and fast, you know?
right. So, you can't, you shouldn't necessarily group what we do with somebody that just got a DJI drone for Christmas, and first thing you do because you don't know nothing is how high and how far can I go?
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, it's just a total different thing. And I said, unfortunately, FPV gets caught up with some of these laws when all we're just trying to do is try to keep it low and fly through some windows in an abandoned
Exactly.
building.
Exactly. You know,
And
I think that, in my perspective, and once again, this is just me, a thought that's coming from me. I believe that the race community, when it comes to that perspective of it, has their shit together the most. When these guys go and set up a race or whatnot, whether it be multi GP, street league, or whatever, you know, it is X amount of field, and that's where they fly. There is, they don't go out of the boundary, that's it. When
mhm,
they're done, they pack up and they're gone.
mhm,
So it's like I've learned a lot from, even though I'm a freestyle pilot that hits gates. I mean, every once in a while I'll pull the wild one out and I'll put up a couple heaters, but it's a little too structured for me. But it's like I go to all the big race events around here, man, and just watching how these guys operate, it's smooth, man. It's really smooth.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
You
Yeah, I've
know,
never been to a racing event.
it's
Never been to any events.
it's different. It's different. What I've learned about racing is, you know, they come to work. You know what I'm saying? Like when the boys get together, we come to play. And I mean, you could feel it in the air. Like when we all meet up in the parking lot, there's that let's go have some fun vibe, and everyone's kind of bullshitting around. But man, these racers, brother, when they get their gear out of the car, it is fucking blinders on, and when it's over, they're gone. I mean, that's the weirdest thing to me. And I mean, it's racing, man. I mean, that comes to being competitive. When
Yeah,
they're
let's
out
say
there,
competitive.
don't get it wrong. They still laugh and they still play around. But I mean, when they're out there
When they
for
get on the flight line, I
yeah.
bet I bet they
I mean,
and it seems like they got a good community too. I mean, they have
even
a
for
lot of support.
the whole event, like when we went to national champs this year, when they come out of the car, they're there to work. There's a lot there's they play around and goof a lot, but I mean, when their heats are done, they pack their shit. All right, boys, I'll see y'all in the morning, and they out. Now, unlike the freestyle guys that at least the guys that we hang out with, at the end of the day, it's like, man, where are we going to get pizza and beer at? It's like we don't
Yeah,
want the day to end. It's like,
yeah, yeah. So, how did you find FPV 9 years ago?
um, when I first got sick, bro, um, I was in the hospital. I was in an ICU unit, couldn't get out of bed. I've been in the RC hobby 45 years. I've been flying planes and stuff my whole life.
Okay.
And my niece, she was 12 years old at the time, brother. She went to the flea market, and there was some dude with that little Joyco $10 drone that was flying it around and had the push button flip and roll or whatever. She picked up one and brought it to me. And it was something that when she came to visit me, I could sit in bed and goof around with it. She'd pick it up, and every time it crashed or whatever, that's how this adventure started for me, man. Was a $7, $10 drone from the flea market. Me in the
And
house.
so
And then I started getting on YouTube, and I started seeing, I wanted something faster. And then I started noticing camera drones. And then I noticed that
mhm,
you can get like an all in one. So I'm out there hot gluing these all-in-one camera VTXs to the top of these cheap drones. The target in my in the target in my town knew me by name. I bought the Sky Viper when they came out, every one of them, brother. There's a lake. There's a lake on the other side of my house that there's probably 20 of them in the bottom of it. But it was just YouTube. YouTube really got me into it.
Same here, because I was that GPS guy that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
When drones came out, DJI came out and stuff, it intrigued me, but I'm just like, it just seems like it goes up, down, left, right, and it's $1,000, and that's not intriguing enough to invest that money. So then when they came out the mini and it's like $299 or whatever, it's like that's a price point that I can play with it, put it in the closet. It's not gonna hurt to waste. And so when I got it, I'm like, okay, there's more to this. I'm enjoying this more than I expected. Let me go on YouTube and just start doing some research. And that's when I discovered
Well,
FPV.
that's
And I'm
kind of
like,
like how I got into
put
it.
that down. FPV is where I'm going.
Yeah, Trappy, to be honest with you, Trappy was the very first FPV video I've ever seen.
Oh,
And
really?
that was just me. Like, I was on the internet and I was like, man, this little drone, and that little 1S battery, it took 30 minutes to charge or whatever. I was like, there's got to be something cooler. So I started looking at, like shopping. I'd go to Amazon shopping and I would start looking. And then I got on the internet and then I found an FPV video of, this was back when they were using baby monitors. Like, and I started looking, I was like, man, look at the way this thing flies. And then started doing more and more research. And then when I got out of the hospital, a little bit more research. And then I actually left drones for a little bit. I started doing the foam fighters. I found the flight test that was doing the foam planes with cameras on
Mm-hmm.
them. So I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of cool. And then I just fell right back into drones, man.
YouTube has done so much for FPV,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be so much harder if you didn't have YouTube.
Yeah. When I got the OG Baby Hawk is when FPV like set in my soul, because I had some drones that were just, matter of fact, I still have it. This is one of the new ones, but I went through a half a dozen of these. This was the one that the blade, the QX 350.
Uh-huh.
It come from Horizon Hobbies. I bought one of those and I put an FPV camera on it. And bro, you couldn't tell me shit. Thing had like a 20-minute flight time, had a big, it was running on a 3S 2200, and I had one of the little all-in-one VTX cameras that I had hot glued to the top of it, and I wasn't even in goggles then. I was on screen. I had
Uh-huh.
a video screen, and brother, I would fly that thing every day. I'd fly it around. And then I got comfortable where I got it in manual mode and I can get it to like power loop and do some flips. And then the OG Baby Hawk came across my sights and I bought one of
Mhm.
those, and I bought 6 of them in the first month. Like, I mean, I didn't know how to fix them. I didn't know anything. I would just slam them into the ground and they either caught on
Buy a
fire,
new one.
snapped in half. But yeah, that's what set it in stone for me, man, was the OG Baby Hawk.
Well, if you had a favorite tool, bench tool, do you have a favorite bench tool? Like,
Um, I don't know about favorite. I'll say most used
okay.
is the J hook tweezers. Those things saved me. I mean, those are probably my most used, because I mean I use them for everything. Helping hands. I've got a little magnet in it now, so it's like if I'm doing any solders, I just put the wire in it. I'll close it shut, and the magnet will hold it there. But that's probably like my most used is an old set of J hook tweezers.
J hook tweezers. I'm looking them up now.
These ones,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah,
I
these
haven't thought
ones.
about that.
Yeah, where are they at? There they are. God
I'm
darn
gonna
it.
have to try me a pair of those.
But yeah, so these ones right here, one with the J hooks on them. I got a little round magnet that I put inside of here.
Oh, okay. I've
So
got to get a pair of those.
yeah, so it's like and when you put the magnet in it, it just holds them closed.
That's smart. See, I didn't thought about that.
And
I'm
this
gonna
thing,
have to.
yeah, it works really good because like when I'm doing like MIPI cables on your
Uh-huh.
on your Vista, these slide right in and they just lock them down. So yeah, this is probably one of my most used tool.
I might have to think about a magnet for
And I
that.
will tell
That
you
is
this, I'm
smart.
gonna get here we go. Let's get some more hate going on me, but I know everybody has their choice on soldering irons. I've been rocking this soldering iron for 5.5 years. It's $4.99 on Amazon. And I'll tell you what, brother, you cannot beat this soldering iron.
Oh, that's great, dude. Hey, well, what's the name so people know?
Um, the cheapest one on Amazon. That's the brand.
Okay.
It's like you could buy the whole kit for like $9.99, and it comes with like a 5 pack of it comes with a 5 pack of tips, so it has like your wedge, your
Hmm.
cutter, your ultra thin. But you could buy just the iron for $4.99, man. And I mean,
That's a good.
it, the dial goes up to 400. We've put a thermometer on it. It actually heats up to about 510, but
Okay.
you can't kill it, man.
So, so what's your go-to temperature for soldering?
I use a medium round, which isn't the super pointy one,
Hmm.
because I've found on at least on this iron, once again, it's super cheap, but it gets a little too hot. And if you use that super fine point, it just melts the tip off of the end. So it's like I've ordered a bunch of packs of the tips. So like if I have anything super micro to do, if I'm working on a micro or whatever, I
Hmm.
usually just use that tip for that build and then I throw it away. The packs are only like 99 cents. But yeah, the second round one is what I use. And then of course I'll switch out the big wedge is what I use for XT, for my power.
Yeah, yeah. I typically switch just between two different tips.
And then like I've had the, when I worked for Cyclone, I've had the $800 solder station. I mean,
Hmm.
I got a TX. I got the TS 120 or 100. That's what I keep on in my bag with me when I'm on the road or whatever. But at my
Cyclone out
base,
of Texas.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, you used to work for him?
I was with Tarek for a really long time, dude. A really
He
long
always
time.
struck me as a really straight dude.
Me too. But I mean, his heart was good, but
Here I go putting you on the spot.
no, I mean, he knows exactly how that's the reason I left was just things got, I seen things that I didn't approve of. I
Okay.
tell people
Okay.
bleed FPV, and it's like, yes, I understand you're a business, but I can't push a product to my friends that I know is garbage. You know,
Yeah.
he was an awesome dude. I worked for him for 3 years. I mean, I actually moved to Texas.
Oh, I
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, me and Julio built the big warehouse.
Uh-huh.
Oh, built by me and him, brother. We were the only
Ah.
we built I built every tree was trimmed by me, every track was set. Yeah. So, but it was like he comes from money, so he had a lot of liquid. So what was going on was he had the liquid money or the liquid funds to buy things in China, in bulk.
Uh-huh. Which you could tell. Which you could tell. And
Like,
then some of the stuff wasn't the best quality.
no, there was just for an example, we can keep this to ourselves, hopefully. I mean, if you want to edit, I don't care. But when the HGLRC bang stick came out, which was the ultra micro thin 60 amp arm ESC or 50 amp
Mhm.
arm ESC, well, there was a run of those that went through. And I guess the auto solders were off on it.
Uh-huh.
So they, I don't know, they probably made 3,000 of them or whatever. Well,
You picked them up.
it was gonna cost them more to fix it than it was to write it off. Well, he went in and said, "Hey, check it out.
Oh,
Sell them all
wow.
to me." You know, so we bought the bundle for fuck it. We bought the bundle for 99 cents a piece.
Damn.
So my job was after work. I sat in the office with a soldering station and fixed all the solder points on them and repackaged them. And he was selling them for 24.99 a piece, which
Damn.
isn't cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I understand you're a business and you're here to make a profit, but don't do that to people, man. You could have sold them for 10 bucks a piece and still beat the market on everybody
Yeah.
and 10 times your money.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of little things like that that went down. And then the biggest one that I got put in a really bad position. Um, remember when Vistas first dropped, like within the first 6 months of their release, and that nobody had them.
Hmm.
They couldn't make them fast enough. There was like a 7 month window where nobody had them. They weren't shipping them. Well, we got in bottom row where we bought a bunch of quads that had Vistas in them. They were pre-built. So he was like, check this out. Let's pull all these Vistas. And then when Vistas come back available, we'll put them back in them.
Huh.
All right, no worries. So we did it. We made our money or whatnot. Well, he made his money or whatnot. Well, when the Vistas came back in, they were in such high demand. He decided we're going to make these quads analog. So we put all analog systems in them, repackaged them, and put them on the market. Well, this was when HGLRC came out with their first big ESC. Everyone called them the pink smokers. That was the one where they had where if you bought the ESC, they would give you a flight controller for free because they were just
Yep.
every other one was catching on fire. Well, they were in these builds, so when we were selling these builds to the public, they were burning up. They would try to get, they would come in for a warranty. Well,
It's used.
the warranties didn't come through us; they went through the company. So when you filed an RMA on it, you had to go through the company. Well, they were
Now it's
saying,
used.
they were calling people. No, they were all brand new cameras, brand new VTXs.
Yeah,
But
but to HGLRC, it's used because it's a whole new VTX or
well, the
FC and
people,
everything.
what they were saying, they were calling people liars and saying there is no way you have that quad with an analog system. We never manufactured them with an analog system.
Uh, uh,
So
and he didn't step up.
I went through HGLRC service as a repairman for HGLRC products. So I was on the paperwork as the official guy that did all the repairs and all the RMAs.
Uh,
So
uh,
I got drug into something, and I've had a few people call me and saying, that I could be liable for this, and that's and then I brought it up, and of course I'm the bad guy for bringing it up, and
yeah,
like I said, he's a good dude, but he's a vicious businessman. He
that
played.
kind of explains some of the videos from back in the day.
Yes, and that
Some of
was
the
the other thing that really
suspects.
rubbed me wrong was like when calling out customers on a video,
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
yeah, puts a new light. Okay, all
At the
right.
end of the day, I'll leave it at this, and I think this is the most professional way to say it. That company was money over morals.
Yeah, that's backwards,
And from what this
and that's not
community,
sustainable.
No, from what this hobby gave to me, I just I couldn't ride on that ship. Don't get me wrong, man. I love the dude to death. He got me my connections. You know, a lot of people ask this question, and I'm sure I have people I hear it all the time, and people don't understand how I have the sponsors that I have. I don't understand it. But the thing is, I've met a lot of my sponsors I've met in person. You know, I've been to China. I've been in the warehouses. I've been to the manufacturers, you know. So it's like I have a personal, I have a personal relationship with them. And the thing about me is I'm a grown ass man. I fly what I want to fly. I'm not going to say something about your product to get it for free. I'm not that dude. If I
Mm.
don't like it, I'm going to tell you I don't like it and I'm going to give you a reason. That doesn't mean that I'm telling you it's a bad product. It just doesn't fit the style that I fly. And when I find something that is durable and holds up to the way I throw sticks, I am super loyal.
What's your favorite stack right now?
Right now is the T Motor F7 SE.
Okay.
Absolutely love it. Favorite stack of all time, I just can't afford them, is the Acon. If
Okay.
I had the money, everything I know, even though I fly for T Motor, everything I own would have an Acon in it.
All right.
That stack is fucking amazing. It's expensive, but I can't kill it, man. I can't
Okay,
kill it.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
I haven't flown the Acon stack. I'm gonna have to check it out.
And I've got that.
Definitely have to check it out.
I've got that from the racers. I brought a racing stack over to the freestyle side. I tried my hand at racing for a while. And like I said, I go to a lot of big races. And, for a while there, I just noticed that everybody was flying Acons. And it was like, you know, I
If
was
they
watching
if somebody's gonna know,
I
the
was
racers are
watching
gonna
some of the
know.
big name racers and I mean, you know how racers are, man. They're full throttle all day long,
Mhm.
after pack after pack. And I was like, man, if that thing's taking that type of abuse, I'm going to give it a run. And um, now the most durable ESC, I still fly 4S. I'm a 4S baby. All my quads are 6S capable, but I I fly 4S. I enjoy flying 4S.
You pick 6S motors
Yeah,
and fly 4S?
yeah.
Okay.
I just back them down. Um, Now, a lot of my quads are 4S motors, and if I do want to fly 6S on it, I just put a cut on them. I go in and drop it in the firmware. But
Mhm.
um, the most reliable ESC I've ever flown in my life was an off-brand HGMCU,
Okay.
45 amp HGMCU. I don't know if you've probably heard me talk about Scuba Steve.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most famous quads I've ever had. I've been flying the same quad for 4 years and have yet to burnt the stack on it. This stack has been run over by mud trucks. It's been in the pool a dozen times. I mean, there was for a while there, I was pulling the camera out of it, and after like chasing dirt bikes, I'd put it in the dishwasher. I wash all my quads in a dishwasher. I
That's
mean, cannot
that's great.
you cannot kill this stack. I mean, I've been flying it and when I say 4 years, I mean 4 years of that's my daily driver.
That's great. What
You
do you
know,
think about the Hobble Wing stack?
I like Hobby Wing. I really
Okay,
like Hobby Wing. I've got Hobby Wing in a couple of builds. Um,
because that's what I fly, but that doesn't mean that I haven't, like I said, I haven't tried the Acon.
yeah,
Um,
Hobby Wing is really, really good, man. I do have to say that. I know, Mike and all the boys from over at Hobby Wing. I've tried. I've got a few builds that. Well, I just sold like 70 quads last month, but I
mhm.
did have a few builds that had Hobby Wings in it. I like to try things. Right now, I found these on kind of a bargain. These are the CL Racing. This is the CL Racing F7 flight controller and ESC. I
Mhm.
got them on a steal, bro. They were like 65 bucks for a stack. So I bought, I tried a bunch of them. They're pretty decent.
Okay.
I mean, it's a $65 stack, but I'm for what it is, I'm super impressed with it.
Okay. Alright, I may have to try that.
And then
I tr
like I said, I do deal with a few people here and there. I just got Tracy from DYS. She sent me over this was the first run of the AM32 F7s. She
What are you
sent me
thinking?
I like it, dude.
Do you?
It was super easy. I mean, the ESC protocol is just like Blue Jay. I mean, super,
Okay.
super simple. Um, there have been some issues from other pilots that kind of got them as well, but I haven't
Not
had those
you.
issues yet. And then again, I fly 4S. So I don't know if that might be the key to that is, I'm not pushing 6S power through them. I'm pushing
Mhm.
4S power through a 55 amp ESC. So I don't know if that's the magic key to it or whatever. But like I said, I fly 6S here and there, but if I'm just out ripping and running, 4S is perfect for me, man. I'm not gonna fly no more than 2.5 minutes anyway.
I hear you. What's your rates at? Like, how fast are your rates? I'm just curious from a 9-year veteran.
Five 577, 577, 620, y'all.
That's basically I'm in the same that same area.
Yeah,
Um,
I run 2020, 2020 12, pitch and roll 20 expo, y'all 15, and then I run a throttle expo of about 12.
okay. Alright, so I'm doing about 20 on my throttle expo. Um, I'm running 600,
Okay.
600, and then like 650 for my yaw.
Yeah. Now with me, if I'm running 6S, I will bump my throttle expo up a little bit. I've got a rates profile, but for 4S, I've noticed that when I get up in the high teens, I've got to stand on it to get it, especially if I'm diving or whatever. I've got to get
Mhm.
more throw on it. So
I can
on the
understand that.
4S, I want a little bit less expo where I've got a little bit more control on the sticks.
I typically run 6S. I just built a 4S because I hadn't built one in a while. I hadn't
Well,
built an analog quad in a while, so I built an analog quad. Um,
I think
but
with
cool.
me, I live off of disability, so I'm on a very fixed income. And before I got picked up from China Hobby, I had to buy all my own batteries. I am a sender. I'm a shit pilot, bro. I crash all the time, and it was like I eat batteries alive. Like I was puffing batteries or busting cells up. So I was able to keep up with China Hobby when they have their flash sales, and
Mhm.
having multiple back in the day, I had multiple email accounts, and you could buy 3 batteries at a time on a flash sale, and you can get 4S packs for like $6 a piece back then.
Wow, that's
So if
nice.
you got 10 emails for $6 a piece, man, I'm set for the next few months. And I would just order
Yeah.
cases of batteries. And then when I started, most of my quads were 4S builds. Then when I picked up my China hobby sponsor, they were sending me 6S packs. And when I race, I always race six. I don't race
Mhm.
four, I race with 6S batteries. So I started building my quad 6S capable, but like I said,
Mhm.
now there are circumstances like when we go to Atlanta and we're gonna go dive the mega skyscrapers. Yes, 6S because you need that 6S to pull out of a 40 or 50-story dive. You
Yeah.
know, there's certain situations where I do want that longevity of the battery, the not sagging when you're getting into the 3 minute mark like you get with the 4S.
Yeah.
But,
Which
mostly
is it is nice.
it is, but mostly for me, I'm pushing packs with the boys, man. I'm always trying new things and I crash a lot. So, if I'm up in the air for 2:30 and bring it back, I'm a happy fucking camper, dude. You know,
See, I guess the reason my thought on it, my mentality of reason why I've been doing 6S is one, here in Arkansas, most of what we have to fly is parks and things like that. It's grass, it's not concrete and stuff. So
yeah,
little more forgiving on packs. I wanted to try and compensate for the extra weight of the GoPro, but now with the
yeah.
O
See,
three and
and
stuff,
that's the other thing
y-
with me is I stopped flying GoPros about 2.5 years ago.
mhm,
Once I really got into vistas and I mean, I don't do a lot of editing. I'm not really about likes and
mhm.
subs and all that, and Atlanta broke my spirit. Like I said, I broke 9 GoPros in less than 4 hours. But if you've seen the group that I was with and you've seen the location, it wasn't just everybody went home. Like everybody went home with just parts of
Mhm,
GoPros.
mhm.
But
Well,
when I
and
came home, I was like, I just can't afford it. That's when the
mhm,
Geek Squad. That's when they stopped doing
yeah,
the in-store trade-ins.
yeah.
That's what really
Well,
broke my soul with that. Now, don't get it wrong. I've got 3 GoPros in my bag that if I go to a paid event or if I'm shooting footage for someone, I will strap up a GoPro. But if I'm freestyling, I don't need it.
well, and with the O three and now with the O four coming
Oh,
out,
yeah, coming out, yeah,
like the need for a GoPro, a need for that extra $300, that extra weight on your, it's not
yeah.
necessarily needed anymore
Well,
for most people, and for me, that's where I am. It's gonna fly better with that extra weight,
yeah, and for me,
and
it's like if I'm shooting content for something or someone, putting the GoPro in gets my props out of view. But
mhm,
if I'm flying for just YouTube or my social media, I don't give a shit if my props are in view, man.
yeah,
You get the gist of it,
yeah,
and
yep,
I've always, this is another thing um, that's a little bit on the weird side with me was, when I first started like really heavily talking about being a streamer, getting in the YouTube side of the hobby and, promoting myself and whatnot. It was, editing videos. I'm not very computer savvy, but there was a few incidents. There's a few pilots. I'm not going to mention their names that I used to like really follow. I was like, God, man, these dudes are the FPV gods. You know what I'm saying? And I've never met them at the time. This is when I first started traveling, and I thought that their flow was just impeccable. And then I met up with them, and we were out ripping packs, and these dudes are walking out in the field more than me. And it clicked where it was like, it's not their flying that I enjoy, it's their editing that I enjoy.
mm,
And
there's so much of that.
it kind of, there's one pilot that really, it broke my spirit because I was like, I looked up to this dude like he was the FPV guru to me. And then when I watched him fly in person, and it might sound big headed or whatever, but I was like, bro, I'm sending just as hard as he is. I'm hitting every trick he is. You know,
It's the Wizard of Oz. It's looking behind the curtain.
it truly
When you
was. And that's
when
when,
you go out to the same bando for however long it takes you to learn it and get it down, and then to get that one perfect flight that you can then go back and spruce up with the edit. That's
yeah.
a lot of what we
And
saw from.
that's the thing with not being computer savvy and not really, I wasn't around when the computers popped off or whatever. I had some other shit going on. But when I was watching videos, I thought that was every
Raw.
flight. I thought that was every flight. Like, man, these
Right.
dudes are murdering this spot every flight. And then when I seen it, I put two and two together that
Mhm.
that 3-minute video that they posted, it took them all weekend to get that footage.
Right, right.
You
And
know,
and it's not necessary. I'm not necessarily going to take that away because they put in the time, they put in the
Like,
packs
oh,
to
dude.
get to that point, but it's not necessarily as easy as we think it is when we see the video and we think it's like that's how they fly everything. And it's
Exactly.
not,
And it kind of broke my heart. I was like,
they
wow.
studied, they studied.
But yeah, I mean, but editing's an art form too, man. I
Hmm.
mean, there's a lot
Hmm.
of skill that I don't have.
Same
So that's
here.
when I made the decision that I am going to post props up, props down packs. You are going to see the quad arm and you're going to see it either hit the ground and explode or you're going to see me sitting in my chair when I bring it back. So that's like been my focal point was just I post raw video and I'm not going to bother people with a 4 minute video. So that's why 4S packs give me 2.5 minutes to get after it. And I bring it back in and I don't have to do nothing but put my logo in the front, logo in the back, out of the way. Next video.
I hate editing. I really do. I hate the editing part. Probably because I suck at it.
That's me.
Um,
I get confused and I get lost. Um, now there are a couple videos on my channels or on my social media that I did take the time to edit and I think they look pretty clean. But I think the one that kind of sets it in stone for me was we went to we went out of town to meet up with some pilots. There was a couple big name pilots there and I had a good weekend, bro. Like it was one of those weekends where I was feeling myself, like I went out in the
uh-huh.
field. There was nothing upstairs. It was just the lines were there, the tricks were there. So right when I was leaving town, my boy was like, "Hey man, leave me that SD card. Let me put something together for you." I was like, "No worries." I left it for him. So about about 2 weeks, I forgot all about it. Forgot all about the card. Well, about 2 weeks later, he posted a video and I hit him up and I was like, "Bro, that video was fucking fire. Dude, you crushed it at that spot." He's like, "That was you, stupid." I was like, "What?" He said, "Dude, that was your footage." He said, "Read the comment at the end." He said, "This is for you." And then in really small letters at the bottom, it said envious. And like, I watched it. I must have watched it 100 times. And I was like, that's not me flying. Like it kind of was like, it was weird. It was like,
Mhm.
that wasn't that wasn't what I took away from that event, from that weekend. I don't remember none of that. I mean, I had a great time, but seeing that seeing that video wasn't what I put in the air. Now it was all weekend long that he took clips from,
Mhm.
but when I watched the video, I was congratulating him. I was like, dude, it got a bunch of fucking views. I was like, holy shit, dude, that video blew up, man. You are crushing it. He's like, that was you flying, idiot. I was like, what? And then I noticed like there was one trick, like I was standing next to a fence and I juicy flicked over the fence where I was, and then I
Mhm.
noticed my hat. And I was like, holy fuck, that was me flying. But that was kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be perceived like that, like West Coast Throwdown was super fun. I think that I had a good ramp up for that. And I think in the freestyle competition was another one of those moments where I was just feeling it. I had a really good run out there, but once again, there was a couple other pilots that I really expected to, like I went in the goggles when they goggled up. Like I was like, I want to see this run. And it was like,
They're human. They're human.
yeah, exactly it. I was like, it was like in the back of my head, I was like, is the quad not running right? Or is he having a bad day? Or,
Mhm.
so it's like, that's where I kind of got in that mentality of, you're going to see what it's like for me in the goggles. I'm not going to dress it up. You're going to see me bamming into trees. You're going to see me in these, like going into, like flying through a window and then all noticing that the door ain't open in that room, so you're gonna see that, oh shit, and then backing back out, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I get a lot of I get a lot of response back on there from people that are like, dude, I like that style because it shows what it is to as an FPV pilot banging sticks,
Mhm.
versus the clean edit side. And like I said, I will
Mhm.
never take away from any pilot that has those dope editing skills because that's where I spend my morning. Every morning, it's 45 minutes of coffee, blunt, and YouTube of me watching these dudes bang sticks. And for anybody out there, if you haven't seen it yet, it's been out for a minute, dude. Johnny FPV Turkey. When he went to
Mm.
Turkey, my God, brother,
Yeah.
that video is something special.
It is. It is.
Just seeing that was just like, I mean, it's in my playlist. It's one of those videos I watch at least twice, 2 or 3 times a week. It was
Mhm.
it was insane.
Most definitely. Yeah. I'll never be anywhere to that level, you know? It's cool to watch people that are at that level.
You know, yes, I he's one of the greats. You can't take nothing away from him. But let me tell you something, dude. And this is the weirdest shit ever, and it might be perceived the wrong way. When first and foremost, Eric Sackhoff out there at the Northwest FPV Park,
Mhm. Yeah.
fucking salutes out to him and his crew, brother. They created FPV Disneyland. That
Oh, dude.
place is
God.
amazing. We were supposed to be there for 3 days. We camped out for 10 days at that property. Like, I was up at 3 in the morning just ripping packs, bro. But
It makes me want to buy land just to do something similar, you know,
bro,
for
the people
myself.
that the people that do say that, um,
How
it
much fun that place is.
it is fun, but what people don't see, and Eric does not get enough salutes about, is the maintenance to keep that place up. That dude is 5 to 6 days a week in a cherry picker with a chainsaw. That place is fucking immaculate. There isn't a branch out of place. All those
Yeah.
trees are crispy, 70 feet up. It's gorgeous out there, but it's a lot of work.
Oh, I'm
But
sure. I'm sure.
I ripped a few. Luckily, it was weird because we didn't even plan it this way. But Rotaract was out there when we were out there. Like they came out to shoot some episodes, so it was like I got to hang out with the boys. I mean, I'm friends with everybody. Cricket, Peter, all the
Mhm.
boys were out there. Let's Fly RC, but it was like watching Vanover's video out there. I had a perceived notion. Like I played that video so many times. It is I could fly that. I could fly his lines in my head. I could close my eyes and know exactly, where things were. But
Mhm.
to go out there, I did not think that that property was as big as it was. That Vanny dive where he does that Matty back through the two boards.
Uh, uh-huh.
I thought that gap was like 10 feet off the ground. Dude, that fucking gap is 30 feet in the air.
Oh,
It
you
is
would never guess that from the
no.
video. It looks
I
it
walked out there the
it
first
looks
time.
small.
Yeah, when I walked out there the first time, I was like, it was insanity. But like I said, we were out there for 10 days and I think I flew 170 packs in those 10 days out there. But out of all of those, there was like three that were worth the drive, man. I mean, there was three packs that I just felt it, I just linked up and it was weird because they were packs when I was by myself. Not a single person seen them.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like I've got one pack that I flew. It was like 2:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. So I got up and I had like three packs charged. And one of those three packs was magic. Like, I mean, I hit the Matty gap. I did the battery tap on the playhouse. I mean, it was just like it was insane, dude. It was
See,
insane.
I want I want a place like that because it just th- the challenging aspect would make you a better pilot. Like
Yeah,
here where we are, it's so wide open everywhere. Um, and we don't have any. We've got a few bandos that I know of, but they're quite a drive for me to get to. Um, so mostly it's
yeah, dude.
wide open. It's not as challenging of environments.
Yeah.
In to
I wish
buy
we
some
had
land and do something like that.
I know it was kind of last minute, but man, I wish we would have had a chance to link up. It was just,
Yeah,
dude, the car, we blew that tire, and then
yeah.
it was a weird size tire, and he ended up having to buy 4 brand new tires over one flat tire. We were there
Wow.
for 5 days on one flat tire,
And I think y'all in Russellville. Was that right?
I believe. Well, we were right outside
Or
of
just
Like
out of
we were getting ready to pull into Little Rock. It was whatever. We're like 20 minutes out of Little Rock.
maybe Conway.
It could
Maybe
have been.
Conway.
But back on the Northwest Park, the thing that makes that place special is that it was put together by pilots that really know how to fly. PWX, ATEC, Eric, so it
Mhm.
wasn't just let's just put a bunch of cool shit out into trees. It was well thought
The
of.
strategy.
The Everything blends. It seems super random, but once you physically fly it,
It's got good lines.
everything just everything just lines up perfectly, and that's what I really liked about it. It was super well thought out, and
How so what's the overall length, the dimensions of the area?
4.5 acres.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
The actual FPV park is on, I believe, 2 acres, but while we were there, he's pruning out another 2.5 acres to make it bigger.
So far in the videos we've seen so far, we're looking at 2.5 acres, which you feel like it's 50 yards by 50 yards,
Bro, I'm
like
telling you,
half a football field or something.
I thought it was small too. When I got out there, like when you stand out underneath like the dive, like that big long tree
Uh-huh.
dive, I thought that thing was a 5 foot tube. Dude, that thing's like a 12-foot tube hung up 30 feet in a tree.
Oh,
It's big.
wow.
It's
Dude,
Yeah, I would say
how
probably
lucky is that?
maybe an acre and a half, maybe ish, maybe with the pilot box and like the camping area. It's definitely 2+ acres. But the actual from the netting
Uh-huh.
to the back row, I would say close to 2 acres.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, what a huge blessing it is to have some place like that
And
to fly and to
it's secure.
create.
And Eric is the most awesome host, bro. Like that dude is something special. You know what I'm saying? Like I met
Mhm.
him I met him a few years ago at Rampage, him and ATEC, and it was just always, "What's up, brother?" On the driving by on the golf cart or seeing him on a flight line and dapping him up or whatever. But we told him about the trip. Once we confirmed the trip, I sent him a message and was like, "Hey, brother, we're going to West Coast Throwdown. You going to be there?" And he's like, "Yep." So I actually got time, at Rampage. Everybody's so busy, like he had things going on, I had things going on. So we never really had chill time. I usually work for Rampage. I usually work the flight lines when I'm at Rampage. So, I don't have a lot of downtime. But at West Coast Throwdown, we actually had a chance to chill. And the dude just clicked. I mean, there was just such a vibe with that dude. It was so fucking awesome for me. And, I was like, hey, man, we're here on the West Coast. We're going to be heading up your way after here. Is there any way we can maybe slide through and get us? And it started out with a session. I was like, we're going to be around the Portland area. I was like, can we slide in one day for a few hours? He's like, a few hours? He's like, bro, camp it up in the back. So the original plan was like 3 days. We were going to stay We were going to stay Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then, him and his girl and ATEC and everybody, man, we started grilling out every night, hanging out. And, we were
How
helping
fun is that?
helping with the property. And like, he was just such an amazing host. And he's like, you boys could put a tiny house out here. I don't give a shit how long y'all stay here. And like, we literally stayed there for 10 friggin' days, man. He was just, and then when we left, he's like, brother, he's like, you're always welcome back out here. So, I mean, it was one of those friendship things that, man, I truly cherish, man. The dude is an awesome dude.
Well, and then I'm sure he gets a lot of enjoyment out of the fact that he gets to sit there and see people enjoying this creation,
Yep.
you know? I totally respect that.
Well, that's the cool
Totally
thing
respect
with him. He said, he doesn't mind. He said, it's a little hefty of a price, a price tag on top of it. But he said, you know what? He said, when I want to fly, I one wheel out the back door. He said, all my boys come to me. He said, every day of the, anytime we want to fly, there's a handful full of rippers out here and it's in my backyard. I don't have to load up the truck. And everything I want's out here.
Yeah, yeah. What a blessing that is.
It
I have
is
to
like,
go
that's,
everywhere.
that's a TDA dream, man. I mean, I'm hoping when people ask me what my 5-year plan for TDA is, just that is being able to get a piece of property and, putting some campsites out there and just making an FPV mecca, just a place for people to come and chill.
That's what I want to do when we eventually buy another house. I want to make sure that this time I leave the neighborhood and I actually end up picking up, some acreage with it because I really want a place to fly, set up some obstacle courses. A dream would be to have an open field next to some woods so that I could do my own little park in the woods. But I've got I've got my race skates and stuff in the garage, but
Yeah,
I don't have anywhere to set them up.
yeah.
Just because even though I'm not a racer and I don't think I'll ever be a racer, I still would like to experience that
I tell
aspect
you
of
what,
FPV.
I
There's
will
nothing I
tell
don't
you
want to.
this from experience. Hitting gates makes you such a better freestyle pilot. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
I
Running a
believe it.
racetrack, running a course with gates just refines your freestyle game. I mean, it truly does.
I believe it.
I watched so many pilots, including myself. Like if I'll go out and run gates for a couple weeks, and then I go take it into the parking garage, or I go downtown bando bashing, I've noticed that my lines are a lot cleaner, my tricks are a lot smoother, and my throttle control is where it needs to be, because that's one thing that gates will teach you is throttle control.
I believe that. I believe that. And I've tried several times to get
Yeah,
into racing for that.
I just can't deal with the pace of actual multi GP. I'm still dealing with health issues, and it's like when you commit and you're in, if you're running brackets and you're in that bracket, if I don't feel like flying you know, a heat, that puts everybody at a disadvantage, and my heat at an advantage, because instead of 5 guys coming off the blocks, now they're racing. It's a cleaner field. There's only 4 guys, and, you know, running out in the field when you crash to go get your quad. Too old for that shit, Bubba.
It takes time now, right? It's a walk.
I'm bad enough that after a weekend of racing, I can't walk anyway because my knees are blown out. But, I mean, but it's too fast paced, and once you're racing, I didn't realize that when they run qualifiers, at least here in Florida, them
Uh-huh.
boys race sun up to sundown. I mean, it is nonstop for 8 hours of just pack on pack on pack. And it's too much for me, man. Way too
Huh.
much. And to add to that, I'm old. I just don't have the reflexes, man. I'm never going to be as fast as these kids.
Yeah.
I
Sucks
mean,
getting old.
unless I kick a leprechaun in the ass that morning or something, I don't see myself hitting a podium, and it's just
I
me
hear you.
going out there just destroying gear. If I'm
Yeah.
going to do that, I want to have fun. And not saying that I
Yeah.
don't have fun racing, but it's different. When I leave from a race, I'm in a different place mentally than if I leave from a freestyle session with the boys. Even though it's the same
Expected.
group of fucking people, it's the same group, but when I leave, I'm in a different mental state. When I leave,
Well, it's that competitiveness.
yeah, when
I
I
should
leave
have done
from a
this. I got to
race,
work on that.
yeah, like when I drive back from No Quarter Ranch with Jeff and Ricky, I'm asleep by the time we get to the first fucking bridge. As soon as we get in the car, because it's an hour and a half drive home, by the time I get 10 minutes down the street, I'm fucking passed out sleeping. Now, we could fly the same amount of hours on a freestyle session, and I'm talking shit all the way to the door.
Right.
It's mental. It's a mental exhaustion for me. Just because you have to be focused when you're doing that. When you're racing,
Mhm.
it's a different mindset.
Yeah, it's more tense, I'm sure. Well, brother, my wife just came in the door.
Yeah,
I
man.
gotta,
This has been
I gotta bounce.
absolutely awesome, brother.
It has, dude. I appreciate you coming on and talking.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got some time to get to know each other.
yeah, and just for everybody else out there, man, Team Drone Adventures on all platforms. Join the TDA Army on our Facebook group. It'll ask you some goofy questions to come in. I answer all, you know what I'm saying? Join the TDA Army February 14th through 16th.
Flying
Flyntines for
time.
Love FPV, February 14th through 16th, St. Johns County Fairgrounds. Get your tickets at tdatickets.com.
I wish I could make that.
Yeah, I
It
wish you
sounds like
could.
it's gonna be a killer event.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous about it being Valentine's Day weekend, but there's a lot going on in St. Augustine, and Valentine's Day is on Friday. It's the oldest city in the nation. Lots of good food, good music, a lot of historical, a lot of shopping down there. So for the guys that want to bring their girls or their significant other, Friday night, downtown's 12 minutes from the venue. Go down there, have fun, do your
Good
Valentine's
point.
Day, and then Saturday and Sunday, come play with the boys.
That's a good point. You can still have Valentine's.
Yep.
You still have
Yeah.
that date.
Still lean into it. Make the most of it.
Would you like to come back one day and let's sit down and chat again? I've enjoyed myself.
Me too, brother. I would love anytime you want to chat. This is what it's all about, man. It helps promote me. It helps promote you. But most of all, I get to know you a little bit better. Like I said, man, I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass that the timing just didn't, because we didn't even plan on going to Little Rock. Like we were
Mhm.
actually taking another route until we had the flat tire. And it was like, let's get to the closest big city was, so that's when I hit you up as the tire was going flat. But there's talk of another tour, so we will be out your way of it soon. So
Okay. All right.
um,
And I'll be ready for you.
TDA is going to be we're gonna make a power move this year. We're starting to get our ducks in a row. We're gonna start traveling again. We're gonna start hosting events other than Florida. So we got some big plans this year.
Oh, that's cool. I like the
So
sound of that.
I'd love to come back whenever you want to. Send me a message, brother. I'm always down. You know that.
Will do, brother. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, man. This is awesome. You have an amazing night, man, and enjoy the rest of it, brother.
You too, brother. Oh, hey, real quick, if you don't mind, when I hit in recording, if you'll let it upload for me, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, your audio will upload.
All right, awesome.
All right. Love you, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Love you too, dude.